Hello, this is Tamur, your host for IEEE Young Professional Seminar Series. Let me introduce Dr. Lina Mohjazi. She's originally from Syria and did her BS from UAE. Then she did her PhD from Surrey, University of Surrey, UK, and now she's an assistant professor in University of Glasgow. She has a very diverse profile, education from different countries, and also experience from different countries and different projects. She's going to talk about basically what men and women should know about women in engineering. Like we speak, or we have heard many talks about women in engineering and women in science, but let's hear out Dr. Lina's views on this topic and how she's going to connect this to her own journey. So I would like to welcome Dr. Lina to our stream. Welcome.
Hello, Taimur. Hello, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Abbas for the kind invitation and for the IEEE Vehicular Technology Society young professionals to host me. I'm very glad to share this journey with all of you. And hopefully you will go out of it with some motivation and encouragement, whether you are a woman or a man. So I hope it will be a beneficial talk for everyone.
Indeed, indeed. And pleasure is all ours. It is so nice that you managed to find some time for today's seminar, and we look forward to hear more from you. So I will hand over the floor to you. Please go ahead.
Right.
Thank
Thank you very much. Thank you for the introduction as well. Let me share the screen, and if there's anything wrong, let me know if you're unable to see that. Okay. Is the screen showing? Is everything okay? Okay, I hope that all is the
Yeah, it
screen is.
looks good.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Okay, I'll get started. So it is a great pleasure to be with all of you and give this talk on what men and women should know about women in engineering, especially that I'm planning to give this talk based from my own journey and what are the lessons that I have learned out of that. I'm going to spend the next few slides talking a bit on a bit of introduction about the institute that I work in and a bit of background about myself before we get started. So as Dr. Abbas mentioned, I work in the University of Glasgow in the UK as an assistant professor, which is the fourth oldest university in the English-speaking world after University of Oxford, Cambridge, and St. Andrews. It also gives me a great pleasure, and I'm proud to be a part of this university, which is in the top 1% of the world's universities today. And it is a university that has more than 25,000 undergraduate and postgraduate students, and it welcomes students from about 120 countries, and it was home for pioneering researchers in the past, such as Adam Smith, James Watt, Lord Kelvin, William Rankine, and so on. So some introduction about me before we move on. I have done my PhD in the University of Surrey in UK in electrical and electronics engineering. Currently, I am a lecturer at the Glasgow College UASTC, which is a joint educational program between Glasgow and the University of UASTC in China. I'm very happy that I have received several service excellence award in both UK and UAE back when I was working before, as well as receiving a number of teaching awards. Currently, I'm supervising a group of PhD students as well as postdocs, and we work on projects with industrial partners such as Nokia, and so on. My research interests fall mainly in the physical layer technologies of beyond 5G wireless systems, especially in theoretical modeling and optimization of enabling techniques. I am an IEEE senior member. I'm also a member of the IEEE Women in Engineering and the IEEE Communications Society. I'm very proud that I have been endorsed as an exceptional talent by the Royal Academy of Engineering, and I'm also a member of the Equality, Diversity, and Inclusion group, that is the Athenas one in the School of Engineering here. I have more than 20 publications in IEEE Transactions, Access, Letters, magazines, and I currently serve as an editor in the IEEE Open Journal of the Communications Society, as well as for the Physical Communication Elsevier and the MDPI network. I have previously organized several IEEE workshops and conferences, and I often serve as part of the technical program committee. I have research collaborators with all over the globe, starting from UK and then expanding to the USA, Canada, France, UAE, Greece, China, Finland, and Germany. So we work with many universities as part of our research collaborator, and I am very proud that I have learned so much out of these collaborations. So a bit about the group that I work in. So I am also a member of the research group, the Communication Sensing and Imaging Group. This group is a very diverse and dynamic group in terms of research activities. It has grown from 5 to more than 100 members in just 4 years. And we work on multidisciplinary engineering, and we come from around 22 countries or more. We work on funded grants involving more than 20 million pounds. And we all have active international research collaborators, and we are involved in about more than 300 outcomes per year, including papers, patents, and books. So let me focus a bit more about this picture, and probably this would be an introduction to the talk today. So you can already notice that I am one of a couple of female members in this group. And we can already tell how this field is man-dominated. However, being part of this field have given me a lot of skills that I have taken through this journey, despite the many challenges that I have gone through. And that's why I have decided that perhaps young professionals, and especially young women, would like to learn more about what other women might have faced as challenges, and how did they overcome them through their own journey. It is also worth to highlight that not only women could benefit out of that, but maybe men would like to understand more about our struggles, and how our different skills could or different traits could be put together to have a better working environment. And perhaps some of these tips might be also useful for research, young researchers, whether they are men or women. So so let me take you a bit of my life out of my professional life. Because I'm a woman, I am interested in beauty. I have other activities that I do apart from research and teaching, which is my work in academia. So I enjoy playing music. I am a mom of a 8-year-old daughter. I enjoy working out, and I often enjoy creating content for beauty and fashion. And that's why many people around me wonder, how did I bring the two worlds together? So I'm bringing the technical part into the beauty, and the beauty part of the technical. But sometimes, often people see that this blend is very unusual, and it would maybe good to highlight the fact that they have nothing to do with each other. They do not interfere with each other. this is part of me being a woman. I do activities as a woman that would make me feel feminine, but at the same time, I have my own competency in being in a technical field. So that's why whenever I am in an engineering related event or a technical conference such as the IEEE Globecom, people who know me would see me and would say, oh, we saw your like social activities in beauty, and how would you be able to do that? Like, why are you interested in beauty? Isn't that so weird? And then when I attend beauty related events, when they learn that I am an assistant professor, they'd be so shocked as if as if I'm an alien or if I come out of this world. So the idea of this talk is to highlight the fact that we women could be both active in both aspects, and each part of that could complement the way we deliver our daily life and the way we live it. So what actually have got my curiosity to hold this talk as well is that despite because first of all, I would like to share the challenges that could be also seen by other young researchers or could be lived by many young researchers and could be really struggling with those challenges. So maybe it's good to know that other researchers who had managed to reach to some professions in academia or in this technical field have managed to overcome those challenges and reach there. But also, interestingly, when looking at the global picture for women in STEM, it seems that only 30% of researchers in STEM are women. So in higher education, women are far likelier to go into life sciences than hard sciences. Because girls tend to perform relatively better in science, for example, in biology, perhaps, more than mathematics. And this may explain why they tend to opt for science-related STEM fields such as biology, chemistry, or medicine, as opposed to math-oriented fields such as engineering, computer science, and physics. Another study also shows that normally in grades starting from the kindergarten all the way to primary and secondary, both female and male students have similar levels of skills and participation in math and science. And actually, the achievements of female and male students are quite similar at this stage. However, girls seem to disconnect with the STEM topics as they become teenagers. And perhaps this is due to some inherent bias of the market, which showcase the activities towards men, or perhaps could be attributed to the lack of early exposure, since perhaps men are more exposed in their earlier stage to these types of skills, such as computing skills and technology, rather more than girls. And even if we look at the left part of at the left figure, we can see that the percentage of bachelor degrees awarded to women by discipline, it makes 19.1% of all of the total students who applied to engineering. Different, especially if we look at the electrical engineering and the mechanical engineering, we can see that they exhibit the lowest number of women engineering students. So if we look at the workforce, we see that women, they make 50% of the workforce. But if we look closely at the workforce in STEM, then we can notice that the women make only 24% of that workforce. But unfortunately, 50% out of those drop out in the first 10 years. And reasons could be very diverse, starting from perhaps facing some difficulties in hiring, promotion, not being so encouraged to pursue STEM from early ages. Perhaps they also face some difficulties in balancing the work, family, when they handle STEM jobs. And one of the key factors actually that I found also critical is the lack of female role models in STEM. So although women's diverse qualities are sought after, they actually provide the necessary push for innovation in the industry and provide service to the demands of a diverse set of customers. So what is it that is preventing women to continue their progression in their professional career as they move forward? Now, I have done a study on my own, some very, very simple kind of research. What I did is that I collected some thoughts from male and female friends, colleagues, family members who work in the field of engineering, whether they are in academia or industry. And it was very, very interesting to see their very different thoughts. So the female opinions were more more towards having fears in working in this type of field. So what they would say is that we often feel the pressure that we need to demonstrate female as a very strong individual in this field. Sometimes they feel that they are scared to get pregnant because they would think that this is a burden for them to stay competitive in their field. And mostly they are hesitant to take a leave even when the kids are sick, even when they are not feeling well, but they just keep on having this drive that they want to demonstrate that they are capable and they have the sufficient qualifications. And mostly women, they feel that they are intimidated by men's excessive confidence, and unfortunately they feel that they are put off by that stereotype of that the men are smarter in these technical field. Actually, a female researcher that I know told me that if I didn't have kids, I would have had no challenge at all in my workplace. And usually it is always hard for a female to feel fit and accepted by other male colleagues, although male colleagues might be very much approachable and accessible and supportive, but that's what the women see it. Now, the thoughts and opinions that I have gathered from the male friends and colleagues were interesting, because what they said is that we admire their multitasking skills. They admire the female or the woman's multitasking skills. They're impressed by our social intelligence, and they see us as more organized. We stick to procedures and we take less risks, and that makes the workflow very smoothly. And we are very good in motivating other team members, and that would lead to getting the work done faster. So all of these conflicting thoughts from both women and men that I have gathered made me decide to hold this talk so that both parties see what actually we think about each other, and perhaps help by sharing the lessons that I learned, we could actually motivate each other to have a better work environment, and to grab the opportunities as we progress in our work. So the first objective of this talk is to inspire young female students and researchers and academics or technicians who are in a man-dominated field, and share the power of exchanging thoughts from my own experience, and perhaps also raise men awareness about challenges we face to create a more inclusive environment together, and highlight the fact that male and female attributes and qualities complement each other. So let me take you back to my background, because I'm going to start and highlight on every stage of my life and how it has affected my path until I reached to this stage where I'm working as an academic in a world-class university. So I was born in Latakia in Syria. However, I haven't lived there at all, unfortunately, although it's a beautiful city. I have been raised in Abu Dhabi. And I have grew up there. I did my bachelor degree over there, and I did my master's degree over there. Although I have done my PhD in the UK, I have been, it's been only 1 year that I moved permanently to the UK and here, especially to Glasgow University, where I currently live. So many people ask me, why did I study engineering? So there are many factors that I could think about. Perhaps it might be a childhood dream inspired by my parents. So my dad was working as a civil engineer, doing this project of Etisalat, which is the telecommunication service provider in UAE. So he was mainly working as the quality assurance of this building. And if we look at that building that has a ball on the top, he once took me to the top, and I was very much fascinated to see what was going on inside that ball, because it was actually it was mainly antennas, a set of antennas and wires, and that made me very much curious, and I started asking my dad more about what is that about. And he explained a bit more about radio and electromagnetic waves. I was so small to appreciate all of that, but that has triggered my curiosity. And when I was in the secondary school, I was very much curious about the math and physics concepts that I learned, and I really loved them electrical part of the physics at that time. And I was even very much inspired by the passion of my teachers, especially those in math and physics. And and I think that that made me, I mean, that has sparked my desire to pursue a degree in electrical engineering. So I applied for a scholarship in back at the UAE University, and I got a scholarship in electrical engineering, and it was a fantastic experience. The education journey was very much valuable, and at that point, I didn't realize that there was any problem. So far it was going so good. There were so many female students at that time, and I felt that I blend very well, and I knew that that field would open up a lot of opportunities for me. So so everything was okay until I reached the stage where I had to select my the place where I had to do my internship. So one of these options, it was an internship to be done in Finland, in a research center in Finland. So because I needed to, I actually selected that option because I needed to have an exposure to an institute outside the country in a Western world and to learn more. But at that time, what happened is that I have tried to approach the head of the internship, and the response is that we haven't before sent any female student to Finland, so there will be no way that we will be sending you. Otherwise, choose an institution or a company inside UAE, and we will be happy to arrange that for you. But I felt that I needed to convince him more, because then I thought that why wouldn't that same opportunity be given to female students? So I talked with him and I convinced him that we also deserve to have this experience, and there might be a way of arranging that. So after a very long discussion, eventually he was convinced, and he said, okay, we will arrange that for you. And I was very happy at that time that I was the first female student to get that internship in Finland, and it was in the Technobotany Research Laboratory in Vasa. The reason why I say that this is an extraordinary experience is that it has exposed me to many different opportunities. So it lasted for 4 months. During that, I have participated with the robotics team. So I was working on some robotics related hardware and sensing. I participated with the robotics team in the Germany Open competition. That was back in 2007. And I traveled from Finland to Germany with the team to carry on that competition. And we were awarded the third place. And that was fantastic. I learned so much about teamwork, about getting what I learned done in a hands-on experience. But I started here to realize that why am I only one of few female students? Why there aren't so many female students in that particular domain? And that had started to make me feel a bit intimidated about this field. But however, I was very thrilled of the experience, and I went back to UAE with a lot of excitement to continue in that field. So the lesson that I learned out of this experience is to speak up, because if I hadn't spoken up with the head of the internship at that time, I wouldn't have had this extraordinary experience. So there is nothing really to lose, or perhaps there is an opportunity to shine if you speak up. And it means that you need to have the courage to take the risks and have a go, and the courage to speak up and be heard. And my view is that when it comes to their career, women are risk averse, and in male dominated industries where it's likely there are no female role models, this issue is even more magnified. So mentoring is invaluable in helping women dig deep to find the courage needed in tough situations, or when they feel intimidated to share their thoughts, or what they like, or what they prefer to do, or what opportunity they are after. So speak up to a friend, colleague, family member. Definitely, there will be someone that would support your views and encourage you to seek your dream, or that opportunity. So, all right, after I have done my bachelor's degree, I have graduated, and then I was ready for a career dream to be achieved. However, so basically, I was looking to work in the industry, especially in those service providers in the UAE, such as Etisalat or Du, or even in top telecommunication companies such as Threya and Yasat, and so on. However, in 2018, that was when I graduated, the world financial crisis has happened, and no one was hiring at all at that time. And the only job that I got is an administrative related kind of job in Khalifa University in Abu Dhabi, in the Emirates. I was a bit devastated and frustrated by that, although I knew that this was a growing university, but I was just not happy of the fact that I have felt that I don't belong here, because I thought that I should be doing something in the field and more technical, because eventually this is what I was trained for, this is what I was educated for. So I wasn't able to see that on in my daily work life. So what I started doing instead is to maximize the potential to grab a golden opportunity. So I attended as many seminars and workshops as possible that were running inside the university. I was helping in coordinating those seminars and organizing student events. I was even volunteering to chaperone students to different technology exhibitions going on through the country, to present the School of Engineering in the open day. And I was waiting for that special opportunity to come, because I continued to apply for different jobs outside that institution, but nothing was happening because that financial crisis was a strike at that time. And it was so, no institution or companies were hiring at that time for a long period of time. So I continued to organize events. One of the events that I have organized is the IEEE UAE branch event inside the university. And I remember at that time that I have met the professor who was given a talk at that event. And after a very short conversation, he knew my background. He knew that I have done my bachelor's in electrical engineering in the UAE university. And he mentioned an opportunity for me that I thought that was golden at that time. And he said that we are going to open for the first time in Abu Dhabi a master's degree in electrical engineering in this institution. So would you be interested to apply for a scholarship? And I said, oh my God, of course I'm interested. And although I didn't have any goals at that time to study again, I thought that this is an extraordinary opportunity, because I will be not only be pursuing my master's degree, but I will also be teaching, and then I will be exposed to the academia. And I thought there's no harm to see if I would, love it or not. So that this whole scenario has given me a second lesson, which is taking on a leadership role. So basically, you don't need to have a leadership title to be considered a leader in your work environment. So whether you are a man or a woman, whatever your position is, find a leadership role that you can excel in, whether it's heading up a key initiative, solving a problem, organizing an event, holding group discussions. So push yourself to be the go-to person for those situations, and an opportunity will come. So I started doing my master's degree in communications engineering. And as I mentioned before, part of that scholarship is that I needed to serve as a teaching assistant. However, during that, I have noticed that there are so many female students in the classroom, but I felt several challenges at that stage. So the first challenge is that I have noticed that I am only one of a handful of female teaching staff in the department. Although there are many female students, there were only a couple or a few of female teaching staff. And it was very challenging for me to get the students' trust and respect, especially when teaching math and computing courses. So that was actually what I was teaching at that time. And I would feel that I always feel intimidated by my men colleagues who were teaching the same subjects. And even I was taking some a few things personal. For example, some students, they would attend the male lecturers' lectures, and I was taking that personally. I didn't take it as if they are trying to maximize their learning experience. I just thought that maybe I'm not competent enough because I'm a female, and I was always demotivated to give my best. And because of that lack of confidence and handling the work, especially when related to the technical related lab work. And that was not because I was mistreated or my qualifications were undermined. It was all because of the stereotypes that built those scenarios in my head. But I knew at that time that I wanted to be an academic, and I knew that I was very much passionate about teaching, and I knew that I wanted to continue pursuing that in my future. So I graduated, and if you can see from the right picture that most of the graduates were female, but what had made me curious is that why those female, they don't continue in the field later on in the workplace. We don't see many female engineers, or especially in academia, we do not see a lot of them in highly technical fields. But anyway, that stage has taught me that I have to play to my strength. So basically, if you can identify what's unique in your background, and if you can use those skills to advance, and if you don't have all the skills you need to succeed, then go and learn them. Because usually, if you do everything you can to distinguish yourself and grow professionally, it would help you to grab on the opportunities when they arrive. And one aspect that I found very important is to communicate openly with students. So be their friend, gain their trust. And that's how I started building their trust gradually. And I gained back my confidence, and I started to be very much happy about teaching them after I have learned from them about my teaching and how they think about it and what are the struggles they are facing. So another thing that I have also learned, that knowledge is power in a male-dominated field. So if we keep on top of the news in our specialty area and in the broader market daily, that would help us to take advantage of every relevant seminar that's going, and continue educating ourselves and educating the students that we are teach. So it always helps when you stay informed. This will build your knowledge, and hence will build the confidence. and you will be a valuable resource to your teammate. Another very interesting thing is that do not underestimate the power of a cup of coffee. So I used to take that an opportunity to have chats with my female and male colleagues and understand the challenges that they are facing in the learning or in the teaching environment. And interestingly, I have figured out that we both share the same challenges. Even men colleagues, they would share the same challenges when teaching. So I started to feel that it's not that because I am a female lecturer that I'm facing those challenges. These challenges exist, whether I am a female or a male. So I started to disconnect that stereotype from my head. And if you are a female in a man-dominated field, then try to create a female culture. This group can help you immensely to strategize your thoughts and meet your goals. And it would help you to learn to negotiate and give you some sort of a safe space to vent your frustrations. What I actually most enjoy about working with an all-female team is that we can feel more relaxed. So I started to identify those female students or or technicians or teaching staffs in the department, and I started to hold some lunch times or lunch breaks or coffee breaks, because we would feel more relaxed, and it would be easier for us to communicate because we feel comfortable with each other. And also, in fact, being around brilliant, smart women is always a plus. So we learn from each other on a daily basis. For example, how to juggle between home and work responsibilities, because other female colleagues were also having kids, and they were trying to juggle all of these responsibilities together. So we learned a lot from each other. And most importantly, that I found really useful is to get involved in an outreach team and participate in networking event, which is immensely important. So part of my work at that time was to teach, but I was at the same time working on a project with an industrial partner to Khalifa University. So there were some challenges in that dimension, and some of these challenges is that, again, I found myself to be one of two female researchers, and I was always constantly thinking, how would I receive other researchers' trust and respect? And I was constantly plagued by the imposter syndrome when presenting or discussing something technical. And I was constantly not being able to express my emotions with colleagues, especially when I'm under stress or I face some personal problem. The biggest challenge at that time was finding a strong female mentor in my field. And those people I consider to be enormously talented and who I really look up to. But I find myself wishing that I had more women in my office to learn from. However, I didn't have that particular component in my domain. However, I continued to participate in different workshops and conferences whenever an opportunity arrives. I have managed to tackle those challenges by several aspects that I will talk about now. So what I learned from that experience is that I need to stay positive and confident, because no matter whether you are a woman or a man, you will always face challenge as you try to master the workplace, especially if you work in a male-dominated workplace. So stay positive in the means that nothing generates goodwill or builds morale among other employees more powerfully than a good attitude. So let your thoughts linger on your past victories, and don't focus on your weaknesses. Focus more on the milestones that you have achieved and you are willing to achieve in the future. And what is important is to avoid being too easily offended, and care more about being respected more than being liked. Another aspect is that if you get active in women's associations, then there are fantastic opportunities for camaraderie, mentorship, and networking in different institutions and organizations. So all of that would help boost that confidence and makes you excel in your particular area, whether you are a researcher or you work in industry or in academia or wherever you work, your field of work is. Um, so what I have learned by to cultivate confidence is that we have to focus on increasing the self-confidence of women in the workplace. So usually the literature says that young girls graduate from high school full of confidence, but give them a few years of working in a male-dominated environment, and that self-confidence will evaporate. Actually, I have found recently a very interesting study that, according to Harvard, women with 8 years of programming experience are as confident as men with only 1 year of programming experience. So you can see how women would take a long time to build that confidence, and how men get that confidence on very, very instantly. So I think there is room here to work on our confidence, that it has nothing to do with us being female, but rather than take that confident attitude and bring it forward to whatever we do. So after I completed the master's degree, I continued to work as a lab instructor. And again, I knew that I wanted to pursue an academic career. So, but I wasn't able to do that inside the UAE at that time. And I have been always attending different seminars and workshops, and I have been talking with my mentors constantly until an opportunity has put forward to me, which is doing doing a PhD in electrical and electronics engineering in the University of Surrey in the UK. Um, at that time, I knew that I wanted to grab the opportunity, but I didn't know how, because at that time, in fact, that was the reality. I had a baby girl and I was working full time. I didn't know how would I leave that comfort zone and do something that I felt at that time that it was totally impossible. But I believed that I could do it, and I have actually done it, and I'm so glad that I have took that step, because later on I became a PhD student in the 5G Innovation Center at the University of Surrey, and despite that I have faced many challenges, I managed to complete that stage. So some of these challenges were related to, again, being a handful of female PhD student and researcher in the center. So I was only part of that, and I often took it personal when I received paper publication rejections. So I remember, especially the first paper that I got rejected, I took it very personally, and I thought that was because I am a female researcher and I lack the qualifications that are needed to have my work published. And I felt constantly incompetent because of that issue. However, after so many discussions with my mentor and supervisor, I came to understand that this is very normal in the research world, and it might take few times of submissions before you get your work published, especially if you work on revisions and enhancements of your work. So that paper has eventually been published as an IEEE transaction, which is one of the top-notch journals. So in that journey, I have also faced a health issue. So after the first year, when I was about to do my examination for confirmation of the PhD at that time, I had a miscarriage, and I have refused to take an extension to do that examination, because I thought if I did that, I wouldn't be considered as a professional, and I didn't want my female-related issues to affect on my studies, or on how I am perceived from my supervisors or mentors or the administration of the university. And I had to reach to a point where I was completely collapsing because of the health issues and mental issues. And eventually I have applied for an extension, and I have been immediately granted that extension. And I was thinking, why did I do that to myself? Why I applied for it from the beginning when I felt that I wasn't able to meet that deadline. So perhaps this is part of me having to feel the pressure that I need to be a good female role model and that I do everything on time and I deliver everything as it is as per the objectives which are set before. And I remember at that time I had struggles to juggle motherhood, housework, and study while maintaining my health, well-being, social life, and relationship. And eventually, I have managed to do that examination, and I passed it very successfully. Despite that, I wanted to quit every single day of my PhD. Every day, I would say, "That's it. I cannot handle it anymore." Especially that also many girls would feel very sensitive, and some of the received comments might sound too harsh from them for them from the surrounding colleagues or supervisors, and I sometimes had to hide. Although all the people around me were very, very supportive, I still felt that between myself, and I had to learn how to control those emotions, or perhaps isolate my emotions from my professional environment. But now looking back at it, so after I have completed and defended my Viva at the University of Surrey, looking back at it, actually I value every single comment received, because this all has added up to my strength and knowledge and empowered me to continue in this exciting field, which drive the wireless technology and many of the modern applications. And I get to realize that there are many periods of ups and downs in research, no matter whether you are a male or a female. So what I learned is that I need to take on the can-do attitude. So yeah, so I needed to trust in what my mentors and supervisors see in me and value in me. And I had felt that I need to focus more on the positive attitude by saying I can do it rather than saying I can't. I would say I can, but I have to figure out how to do it rather than saying I don't or I'm not capable to do it. So mentors influence very positive mindsets in their mentees, and they can encourage their mentees to give themselves license to try new things and to be the person who volunteers to give something new a go. So shifting that mindset and encouraging positivity are areas I often hear myself talking to my mentees about, and it is amazing to share that energy and because that would drive them to pursue their dream at the end of the day. So my experience is that opportunities rarely arise when you want them to. So if you believe that you can do it and focus on working out the how, then you will be able to make use of those opportunities when they come. So that's why I accepted to move forward and enroll in a PhD degree, because I believed I could. My family believed I could. At that time, I didn't know. I didn't have any idea what sort of arrangement I had to do to make it work, but I knew that I could do it. And this was an attitude that I carried on later on in my career. So as I mentioned earlier, I have also some activities in beauty and fashion, and I learned from that some skills that I currently take forward with me, even in my academic career. So what I have learned is that you need to seek people to grab some opportunities. So sometimes if you have a goal and you want to make it work, then you have to market for yourself. You have to reach the different entities, and that's what I did in the beauty industry. I tried to email and contact all the marketing agency managers, because I wanted to be part of their product launches or events, and I wanted to socialize with people. So by reaching out to people and by networking, you will be able to understand what's going on as events and workshops and seminars, and you will be able to take part of that and make use of that to market for yourself. Do not also underestimate the power of marketing for yourself on social platforms, because this way you are not only marketing for yourself, but you are also connecting with like-minded people. So and that's what I actually started to do. I grabbed every possible opportunity to attend conferences, seminars whenever they are possible. And that's how I met also. Now he is actually a colleague, but I met at one of those events. A pioneering researcher, and I have expressed my interest to collaborate. And that discussion was very successful because due to that discussion at that time, I became a visiting researcher in the University of Glasgow. And after a year, when an opportunity was opened for a lecturer, I became a lecturer, or otherwise called an assistant professor in the University of Glasgow. So what I have learned is that I need to value and appreciate the colleagues and collaborators, the supervisors who open the door for wonderful opportunities to grow personally and support you to achieve your dreams, and also encourage you to nominate yourself or apply for recognition or apply for a job. So I was encouraged by my colleagues and mentors to apply for this job, and that's how I got it. And if I wasn't supported by the family and collaborators and supervisors, I wouldn't have been here, especially in the period of the pandemic. And until now, trust me, I still question myself. Am I a good PhD supervisor for my students? So what I did is that I took the courage and asked my former PhD supervisor whether he had these similar struggles before, when he was an early career and supervising student. And I was very surprised that he told me that he struggles until now. It's not that he struggles, but he faced challenges, especially at the beginning, in mentoring and supervising students, because every research track is different, and there are so many uncertainties in that field. And because the nature of the research is that you don't know what actually you know what you're doing, but you don't know where you are heading at. So there's always this element of uncertainty whether you're doing good enough or not. So I felt it is normal. My supervisor is a male and is still facing the same challenges that I currently face with while being a PhD supervisor. So it has nothing to do, in fact, of me being a female academic. I started to connect with people inside the department to understand what sort of outreach events are going on in the department, and that's how I get connected with them, and that's how I got to be a member of the Equality and Diversity and Inclusion group in the university. So the main thing is that become a person of value. Always praise yourself and reward yourself, and always think that you're doing a great job. Even try to seek out men who can be allies or close friends, because in most cases they are willing to support you and they're willing to give you their experience and share with you their knowledge. So as a woman, do not minimize yourself. Just do what you feel. Just try to become a person of value and do what you feel is right. And 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 also, speaking about that, try to make yourself visible, because if you are visible, then others can see your work and potential, and maybe this would spark a new participation in an event or a new collaboration. You never know where would that lead you to. Another thing is that I have learned that believe in the power of perspective. If you do not have a role model in your department as a woman, then try to see that outside in the outer world, because you cannot control everything that happens to you, but you can set the lessons you want to learn and control how to move forward according to them. So do not be intimidated by the men around you. Most of them are humble, willing to share their experience and give their feedback and advice. And if there's any woman researcher that you think is giving you a role model, try to connect with her or and express your interest in collaboration, or just perhaps follow up with her activities. And this would definitely inspire you as a woman. So lastly, what I would like to highlight in this talk about is that I came to understand that we need to value the differences between a male and female traits. For example, men focus more on power while women focus on relationships. Men talk to give information, but women talk to collect information. Men like to talk about things, but women talk about people and how they interact with each other. Men would like to focus on facts, reasons, and logic. Women focus more on feelings, senses, and meanings, and so on. So men are more assertive and this is something maybe we need to understand as women. We don't kindly talk in a way that we are assertive, but we are more cooperative and collaborative. Men tend to be focused, specific, and logical. We as women are more holistic and organic. Um, so all these things make us realize the fact that there is definitely a strategy to bridge this gender gap in communicating between each other. And because we think differently, then putting those traits to the table would definitely impose a highly productive workplace. So if we exploit it together, that workplace, it will turn into a really dynamic one, and we would feel that we belong to each other, especially if we know the different traits between men and women. So, for example, men tend to be more to work in a more autonomous manner. Women like to work in groups. Men like to have some tangible actions. Women are more abstract in their actions. Men like to focus on one task per time, but fully do it. Women like to do it all together. They like to multitask. So men are normally they prefer power over change. Women are adapt to change faster. So all of that, if we put them all together, we would have a more blended environment. So I have come across this very interesting. It might be useful actually for women. This is an interesting channel on YouTube. It's called The Woman in the Room. There are very nice short videos that present the differences between the woman way of thinking and the men way of thinking. And it had also given me some very nice material to put into this talk. So at the end of this talk, I would like to thank you all for listening. And whether you are a man or a woman, I hope that you got something to think about going out of this seminar. And remember that nothing in life is to be feared, but it is only to be understood. So all what we need to do is that give ourselves the time to understand whatever challenge that we face or whatever task we come across. If it was difficult, then maybe we need some time to understand it. So give yourself the time to do that. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, I would be glad to answer that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Lena.
Thank you. I hope I'm in time.
Yes, you are. You're well in time, and it was indeed motivational talk, and a lot of things that I learned as well. Some new things that I was not aware of. So it was really nice.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to hear that.
I can start with one question.
Yes.
You have explained very well your journey up to this point.
Right.
Just to understand, what would you do differently if you have the opportunity to go back and fix it? What would you like to do?
I think what I would do is to, if I speak with my old self at that time, is that do not spend a lot of time and effort trying to analyze what others think about me as a woman. So instead of spending, exhausting my mind to think before I do any action, like what would they say? Because if I'm a woman, if I did that, what would they say? Or if I wrote a small email, what would they be? How would I be perceived? So just do it, because it has nothing to do if you are a female or not. Be confident of your qualifications and just move forward and do it. Don't waste a lot of efforts on that. So I would definitely tell that to my old self.
I think that this is something that is applicable even now, or even it will be applicable in future, because I mean, sometimes we don't do right things just with the fear of being judged. So
yes, exactly.
this fear keeps us or pushes us back. So
Definitely. Yeah, and actually, one thing that I have come to realize, because I started to do those coffee times, even with my new colleagues at the moment in the University of Glasgow. So I came to realize even men, they got challenged by the overwhelming number of publications they appear every day in their field. And so we share the same challenges, we share the same struggles, so it's not about just me. So those talks and and communicate openly are very, very useful to put us at ease and to understand that this is something normal, perhaps
exactly.
in research and
Exactly.
academia.
That is true. That is true. So I think it is about time. Once again, I would like to thank you. I would like to thank all the listeners. And one thing I would like to request, please check a couple of minutes before Dr. Lina has shared her LinkedIn and Twitter profile. And if you have any question, feel free to reach out to her. You can always post your questions in the comments under the video. This video will be available publicly in less than 24 hours, hopefully. So then you will be able to watch it again and recap if you have missed some points in the beginning. So once I would like to thank you, everyone, and especially Dr. Leo. So yeah, hopefully we will have you again on our seminars. Next time we will be listening more about your research and what are the future projects that you have in mind.
Definitely. It would be a great delight for me to come back again. And thank you so much for inviting me today. It was such a pleasure to share my experience with you. And thank you for everyone who attended the talk. I will be also checking out the comments in future and answer them as they come across.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a
Thank you
nice day,
very much.
everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.